Right, we turn our attention to Asia now. President Trump is in South Korea this morning for the third and final stop on his tour of the region. The president's arrival last night came after North Korea announced it test-fired sea-to-surface cruise missiles off its western coast. Now, despite the escalation, South Korea's leader put on a lavish welcome for President Trump. You see it here, awarding him the country's highest honor as the pair are set to work on ironing out a trade deal. Meanwhile, attention is also on President Trump's highly anticipated meeting with China's leader Xi Jinping Thursday, a meeting the president is optimistic will garner results.
I think we're going to have a deal. I think it'll be a good deal for both. And that's really a great result. The world is watching, and I think we'll have something that's very exciting for everybody.
CBS News foreign correspondent Ramy Inocencio is watching this all from our London bureau and joins us now with more. Good morning, Ramy. All right, so now it's South Korea's turn for a trade charm offensive. Tell us what's happening.
Yeah, well, apparently that charm has actually worked because in just the past few minutes, Errol, both President Trump and President Lee Jae-myung of South Korea announced a trade breakthrough here. Going into this, South Korea had already pledged to invest $350 billion into the U.S. This would be in exchange for the lowering of Trump's tariffs from 25% to 15%. Now we have the outline of those investments. $200 billion will be in cash, though South Korea had been hoping to give loans to its own companies to invest in the U.S. Another $150 billion will be in the form of money going to shipbuilding projects. South Korea is one of the most advanced countries in the world for shipbuilding, so it goes to say that the U.S. wants more help with that. For South Korea, though, their massive auto industry, that's where there is a win, a relative win, really. 15% tariffs there, better than the 25% earlier this year. The country's economy does rely a lot on South Korea's automobile sector. You mentioned the charm offensive. Got to talk about the gifts that President Lee gave President Trump. One was an ancient crown earlier today, more than 1,000 years old. There you go. You see it on the right-hand side of your screen there. About a foot high or so. That's a replica connected to a crown more than 1,000 years old that connected kings to heaven. Something that Trump probably wouldn't mind being connected to. The other was South Korea's highest honor, as you mentioned. This is a national flower that symbolizes resilience. So looking ahead, it appears South Korea's charm offensive has worked, and Trump says that he would now like to invite President Lee back to the White House again.
Yeah, that crown is huge. And all of this, Ramy, adds to the anticipation around the president's meeting with Chinese leader Xi Jinping. That's late tonight for our viewers watching. So what are the prospects of a deal coming out of that?
Yes. Well, President Trump is setting the bar quite high for success. We've been hearing this over this entire week from Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent, and he thinks, Trump thinks that they're going to have a good deal for both. He even put a bit of passion into it, saying that it'll be exciting and that it's better than fighting. And there you go. The issues we've been reporting on all week. A reminder, U.S. control of TikTok, purchases of soybeans from the U.S., rare earths from China, and stopping fentanyl and precursor drugs from going from China to the United States. And we are looking ahead. The foreign ministry for China has already confirmed that that will happen. Trump says it'll be about 3 hours long.
All right, Ramy Inocencio with all the latest from London. Thank you, Ramy. CBS News senior White House correspondent Weijia Jiang is following it all for us and joins us from South Korea. Weijia, good morning to you. So President Trump says a deal's been struck with South Korea this morning. Tell us about it.
Errol, both sides say that the deal is very close. The president said it was pretty much finalized, but as of this hour, nothing has been signed yet. So we are waiting for official word from the White House that the deal has been sealed. But obviously, there was a lot to talk about for these two nations in particular. South Korea wants to lower the U.S. tariff rate, particularly on South Korean automobiles. But the president, as he has asked for in every trade deal, wants a commitment in investments from this country. And so we don't know exactly where that will land. But he did say that they were pretty much there, Errol, which is a big development because initially administration officials were expressing some skepticism that this one would be one of the agreements that he could take home.
And Weijia, what about the prospects of a deal with China? Of course, anything between these two nations, the world's largest economies, would be significant. Yeah. What's the expectation?
Well, both sides there have also been expressing optimism, Errol, after breakthrough conversations over the weekend. We heard from members of the president's trade team that said they were essentially there, that they had a framework. And the president has been very optimistic, too, every time he's talked about his highly anticipated meeting with Chinese President Xi Jinping, which is set to take place sometime tomorrow morning. Now, there is a lot at stake for that agreement, Errol. China wants fentanyl-related U.S. tariffs to come down, in addition to avoiding an additional 100% tariff on all Chinese imports. And the U.S. wants Beijing to continue buying soybeans from American farmers, as well as access to its critical rare earth minerals. And so after those two leaders speak, we'll see if they're able to sign a deal before the president gets back on the plane. But even he has acknowledged that even though he has spent an entire week here in Asia, that really is the grand finale and the main event. So obviously we'll be keeping close tabs on that discussion tomorrow.
Yeah, and Weijia, en route to South Korea, President Trump appeared to concede to reporters that he cannot run for a third term. Previously, he kind of refused to rule this out. What more can you tell us about his remarks?
Right. Yeah, Errol, this is something that President Trump has flirted with even before he won a second term to the White House. And the reason we're talking about it now, the reason why reporters are asking about it again, is not because the president brought it up, but because one of his former key advisors and strategists, Steve Bannon, who is very pro-Trump winning a third term, Steve Bannon recently gave an interview to The Economist, during which he claimed there was a plan in place for the president to run and to win a third term at the White House, and saying that people should just become used to that because it's happening. But as you mentioned, Errol, the president said something very different when he was asked about it. Take a listen.
It's a very interesting thing. I have the best numbers for any president in many years, any president. And I would say that if you read it, it's pretty clear. I'm not allowed to run. It's too bad. I mean, it's too bad. But we have a lot of great people.
Weijia with all the latest for us from South Korea. Weijia, thank you.